Choosing your daily training shoe might be the most important gear decision that you're going to make as a runner. And if you've gravitated towards ASICS, you're already doing pretty well because they have some of the best training shoes in the game. But which of their shoes is the best? Now, I've narrowed it down to 2 finalists and I have them right here. I have the Nimbus 27 and the Novablast 5. So these are 2 of their most recent shoes. And in this video, I'm going to compare and contrast them to help you decide which one's best for you. And I'm going to reveal which one's my favorite. So let's get into it. So first things first, this video is for you if you're in the market for an easy running shoe and not a racing sneaker. The Nimbus, in fact, has been one of the most trusted training shoes since its first edition came out back in 1999. And it's gone through a lot of funky updates over the years. Weird mesh, big gel pods, accidental fashion statements, but after all these years, the essence of the Nimbus remains the same. It's a big, bulky, comfortable, durable, grippy shoe that can take you through any type of terrain and make you feel good running easy. Now, the Novablast has a similar purpose, but it's like the Gen Z version of the Nimbus. So ASICS launched the first edition of this shoe only in 2020, and the Novablast 1, when it came out, kind of shocked the industry. The thing about the Novablast was that it was one of the first easy running shoes made with supercritical foam, which is lighter and bouncier than your typical easy running foam, and used to be reserved only for workout and racing shoes back then. So back in 2020, that made the Novablast feel like an easy running shoe of the future. Now, fast forward to today, and most easy running shoes have some type of special or supercritical foam inside of their midsole, including the Nimbus, actually. So in 2025, how do these 2 shoes stack up? So structurally, both shoes are pretty alike. Each has a heel to toe drop of 8 millimeters, which is pretty common in training shoes these days. And the stack height, weirdly, is similar. So the Nimbus stack height has always been pretty tall, and this one's even taller than previous ones. But the big change here is in the Novablast, which in the last 5 years has gotten 10 millimeters taller. So we're left with 2 shoes that somewhat have the same bones. Both types of shoes are also neutral, so no built-in guardrails against pronation or supination. So all in all, these 2 types of shoes have pretty much the same bones. But then, when you look closer, you start to notice some key differences. And something has to be different, right? The Novablast is much lighter than the Nimbus. 1.5 ounces is a lot, and you will feel that on your feet. So where's that coming from? A big part of that weight difference has to do with the midsole. So let's dive a little deeper and nerd out for just a moment. The Nimbus 27's midsole has FF Blast Plus Eco cushioning, which is the same foam as the Nimbus 26 and also the Super Blast 2, which was our shoe of the year last year. This foam is specifically made for soft landings and still provides a decently responsive toe off. Plus, the Nimbus has this pure gel technology in the heel, which allows for even softer landings. So altogether, it creates a midsole that's comfortable without being too mushy, but that does carry a good amount of weight. The midsole on the Novablast, meanwhile, is made of a newer foam that ASICS calls FF Blast Max, which is an updated version of what's in the Nimbus with a little bit less weight and more responsiveness. And the Novablast's midsole only has that foam, no gel pods, so you get a double dose of bouncy and light. Okay, let's move on to the uppers because they're actually quite different. The Nimbus feels a lot more rigid around the foot, which I tend to really like. I put my foot in and it minimizes that like side to side rolling motion that I actually don't want around my ankle. It's just like snug and really secure. Now the drawback of the Nimbus upper is that it's a bit of a sweatbox. And right now at home I don't mind because it's mid-February and I'm in Canada, and so I like the extra heat, but I took the shoe down to Florida, luckily, for about a week, and it felt hot. I had hot toes. And so the ventilation could probably still be improved. That doesn't seem to be that much a problem with the Novablast. It seems a little bit lighter on the upper, and it also doesn't have that rigidity. So I tend to like this upper a little bit less. I put my foot in and I feel like it can move around a little bit on the ankle, which I kind of don't want. Okay, let's flip the shoe around and look at the outsole. So the Nimbus is predominantly made for traction. It has this network of rubber that supposedly makes it easy to run on snow, ice, any uneven surface. And meanwhile, the Novablast's outsole is made a little bit more for speed. So it also has a network of rubber, but look at how it's shaped. It's made a little bit different. It's conceived to look and act like mini trampolines to propel you forward. And so this shoe is a little bit more about speed. Now, when I held both of these shoes in my hands, when I read about their characteristics, I kind of developed an opinion, and it was that the Nimbus would probably feel more like a good, reliable, easy running shoe, whereas the Novablast would work kind of like an accidental workout shoe, or if anything, an aggressive training shoe. But we never know until we try these shoes out, right? So, let's go to wear test, Alex.
Okay, so slight bias here. This pair of Nimbuses are already broken in because I've chosen them as my regular training shoes. It's been a tough winter in Canada, and I think the main difference between the Nimbus and the Novablast, other than the weight, is the grip and the traction. So I've run on snow, I've run on ice, slush, and the Nimbus is fine through all of it. It doesn't have the gears that the Novablast does, but if I need to pick it up, it's not a brick either. 10 versions of Nimbuses ago, I would not have dreamed of doing a tempo run in a pair of Nimbuses. And now that we're on 27, they're a bit lighter, a bit bouncier. They're pretty versatile. So still, they're only easy running shoes for me, but I can do stride in them and feel good, and I can run on pretty much any terrain in them and feel good. So the Nimbus 27s are probably my easy run shoe of choice for this winter. And so, yeah, they're a 5 out of 5 for me. The biggest thing I noticed is that the Novablasts are a lot lighter than the Nimbus, and they're bouncier. If the Nimbus is the easy running shoe, the Novablast would be the workout shoe if the Super Blast didn't exist. This is a very proper running shoe. So because it's we have 7 degrees Celsius here and not much snow left on the path, I love the Novablasts, but when I wore them the other day on the snow, they were a little bit slippery. They don't have the traction that the Nimbuses have. So for a run like this, on straight pavement, these are awesome. They're less stable around the ankle than the Nimbus, and that's what I thought when I saw the upper for the first time. You put your ankle in, your foot in, your heel, it doesn't feel as clipped in because the upper is a lot more malleable. So maybe good for ankle flexibility, but you don't feel as stable and secure in the Novablast, which again on pave is no big deal. I love how they're bouncy. I feel like I could just break into a workout right now. It just feels like a shoe with a couple gears. You can run easy, you can pick it up and get into a tempo run, which is nice.
So it's time for the verdict. You go to the ASICS store, you're still not sure what to buy. Here's what you should keep in mind. If you're looking for something that's durable, that's stable, and that excels on easy days, that feels really good for easy runs in all conditions, on all types of terrain, I suggest that you go for the Nimbus 27. If you want something faster, and if stability on the ground is not so much a concern to you, go for the Novablast 5, because it is a bit more of a fun ride. And my favorite, while I really like the Novablast and I enjoy a shoe that can take me to a second gear even on easy days because I love doing strides during my runs, I have to go for the Nimbus. No shoe does easy runs better than the Nimbus 27, in my opinion. And so if I want a shoe that's fast, I buy a workout shoe, probably something that's a little bit quicker than the Novablast. But if I want an easy running shoe, no one knows its own identity better than the Nimbus. So this is my pick, and this one will always be in my roster, I think, throughout the year. How do you know that you're getting old? It's when you take out the first ever pair of Nimbuses that you've ever had from your closet, wear them around town unironically, and have someone tell you that your shoes are nice and in style. And that's happened to me recently. I think it was a pair of Nimbus 13s. Never throw your shoes away, folks. You never know when you could become a fashion statement. Even a broken clock is right twice a day, and last week was my day. So hold on to those shoes.